Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and today we're looking at a new BREAKpoint deck for the standard format. And this is, I'm not sure how competitive this is going to be, but it's a pretty fun build and it's really showing off the potential that Max Elixir and Fighting Furibelt have. So it's definitely a fun one and one to playtest with if you're in the mood for that sort of thing. Brian, this is for you, mate. We are looking at Dragonite today. So, here we go. We have 4 Dragonite EX. It's the main attacker of the deck, and the whole concept of the deck is going to try and tank with him, move around with his ability, which is Bustin', and when you play Dragonite onto your bench, you may move him into the active position and move as many energy from anywhere on the field, on your side of the field, of course, onto Dragonite. So, that's what we're looking to do here. And yeah, so this is, you can see the combo with Max Elixir already. We just start using Max Elixir at any point in the game when we have something on the bench. We're going to start stacking up energy, and then we drop a Dragonite, move him all over to him, and he's ready to attack, hopefully on the first turn. So what are his attacks? Well, the first one is Jet Sonic, which does 80 damage. Well, the only one is Jet Sonic, but it can do 2 variances of damage. So the base is 80, and you can do an additional 40 if you discard an energy attached to Dragonite. So those numbers aren't fantastic. However, with Fighting Furibelt, we have to consider this now. Jet Sonic now is doing a base of 90, which is a much better attack because now we 2-shot things, and we can one-hit stuff like Vespiquen, which we couldn't before. So this helps us preserve energy when we're up against other non-EX decks, and when we are against EXs, we can do 2 shots without having to discard every single time, but we will be able to push into those 2-hit knockout ranges for Megas. So that's really awesome. The whole idea is to have a Furibelt on this guy, so he has effectively 220 HP. And we're going to keep using Bustin' with new Dragonites to retain the energy so that we can attack each turn and hopefully deny some prizes and win the game that way. So yeah, good thing to note as well, Jet Sonic, when you do the buff of damage, it's so good for killing Shaymin. That's like one of the best ways we win the game. Very much like Gallade Octillery, in that we try and just catch her up and kill Shaymins to win prize trade. So, what are we going to pair with this? Well, first of all, I have 4 Unown. This deck is pretty simple in what it's trying to achieve. So you don't need that many, there's a lot of floating spots. And I decided to play Unown because you just need more Pokemon in this deck. You need Pokemon that don't clunk up the whole strategy of the deck. So Unown is pretty good, but it counts as extra bench Pokemon because this also means that we're starting with Dragonite less. You want to not start with Dragonite because you want to search it in the hand so that you can get Bustin'. So leading Unown is fine because then we Bustin' and we still get his effect on the bench. So this is really perfect. It's, more cards for hitting the combo early. It's more Pokemon to start with that aren't Dragonite. And yeah, it's all around pretty good. You have space for them, so let's just play them basically. So next up we have 2 Regirock. This is the Omega Barrier Regirock, the same trait that Primal Groudon has. So this is our favourite target to put stuff like Max Elixir onto, because it can't get hammered away from here, and your opponent can't Lysandre up something. Like if Regirock has 3 energy on it and we've missed the Dragonite, we can just sit with Regirock. It's not going to get Lysandred, Zerosic, Flare Grunted, or hammered, or whatever, any of that stuff. We don't have to worry about it. So Regirock is perfect to sit on our bench for when the time comes for Dragonite to then move on to him. So the final Pokemon we're playing is 2 Shaymin. So you can see it's all Dragonite and the rest are just techs. Shaymin is going to help us set up for more cards to hit more Max Elixirs and other combo pieces. Super simple. The only trick in the deck is Dragonite, so it's all or nothing on this Dragonite basically. Matchup wise, it's going to be awkward. You could play Jirachi promos in here. I did start off with a couple of those. Maybe flip some of these Unowns out if they're not doing anything for you. Jirachis can help out against decks that can one-hit Dragonite, but overall I feel like just going as consistent as possible and then hoping to hit stuff like Lysandre's to keep up in prize trade against stuff like Night March is the best approach that we have. So this is by no means the most competitive deck that I'm going to be showing you from the new set, but it's trying to show off the principles of Max Elixir and how it can be abused along with Furibelt as well. So next on to the trainers. We have 1 Target Whistle. I've said how Shaymin is one of our best targets, so we're going to try and manipulate our opponent's board so that we can find more easier prizes, basically. We only play one because we want to keep motoring through the deck. We have a lot of trainer draw. We have Unowns, we have Shaymin, so you will draw into this, so you don't have to worry about playing more. We are playing one Megaphone. The deck is hugely reliant on its abilities. Obviously, Dragonite has Bust In, and our draw, like part of the draw engine, is going to be via the abilities. So being able to get rid of Garbodor, because that's back, of course, that's a good thing to do. And also, our numbers aren't great for opposing decks that have Fighting Fury Belt, so being able to get rid of those is pretty important. So yeah, one Megaphone. Next up, we're just playing 3 VS Seeker. We're not playing Compressor, because there's no need for it in this deck. So I feel like there's only need for 3 VS Seeker, because all of our supporters we're already playing in high enough counts. Like, we don't have any... We have one-off supporter, I think. The rest are like 2 of at least. So I'd rather just have physical counts of those trainers, because we're normally drawing into them, than just having VS Seeker, because these are obviously dead early games. So I feel like just 3 is fine. We are playing 4 Trainers Mail. You can see the Pokemon line is low, so there's going to be a lot of slots for trainers and stuff like that in here. Trainers Mail, fantastic, because even if we have already found Max Elixir, we can Trainers Mail to get something out of our deck to increase our odds even further. So it's going to keep us digging, getting through the deck, getting into combo pieces, just lowering the hand size, getting more stuff out of the deck before we use Max Elixir. So it's all pretty good. So here is Max Elixir. Obviously there are proxies, because I've still not got my hands on the set yet, because it's still pre-release. Max Elixir, for those of you who don't know, you can look at the top 6 cards of your deck, and then find a basic energy there. Well, if you find a basic energy there, you can attach it to one of your benched basic Pokemon. So the whole deck is basics. We just need to have something on the bench, and hopefully we're going to hit it. We have a very high count of basic energy. One of the highest basic energy counts I've played for a long time, because we want to really have good odds for this. Like, you could play around with the energy count. I started off at 15. That's how high I wanted the chances, but 15 is, it's too high. So I've cut down a couple, but we still have ridiculous odds for Max Elixir, so it's often going to get the trigger, as long as you're, relatively fortunate, because we play plenty of energy in here for certain. Next up, we're playing 4 Super Scoop Up. Super Scoop Up is really good. This deck is trying to tank, but the way we tank is we take a hit and then we bust in with a new one, move on all the energy to here. But this Dragonite still has a bunch of damage on it, so we're going to try and use Super Scoop Up. So now, not only have we removed like 3 prizes on the board, when this one then gets hit next turn, we have the new combo, so we continue to get free energy. Well, we keep the energy on board for as much of the game as possible. That's the idea, at least. So Super Scoop Up is huge value in this deck. Obviously, it's going to help us in the early game as well find Shaymins to draw from. It's our only means of switching in the deck, so if we are ability locked, our main means is Bust In, right? So if we're ability locked, Super Scoop Up's our only option in terms of switching, which isn't fantastic, but it's something to be aware of. Next up, we are maxing out Ultra Ball. We want to hit Shaymin, we want to hit Dragonites, we want to have something on our bench every time, because we have a fairly low basic Pokemon count, or just Pokemon count in general. There are times when you'll be holding Max Elixir, but you don't have the bench Pokemon. So maxing out the Ultra Ball, even though there's only a couple that are really important, you want to have outs to get something on the bench, so Max Elixir gets working, so Ultra Ball's fantastic for that. For tools, we're playing 1 Experience Share. It may be interesting thinking, like, why would you play this if you're trying to tank the whole game? But you can just stick it on a Regirock, and that's going to stay there the whole game. It can't get Zero-Sicked, or Megaphone has no effect, thanks to Omega Barrier. So when, or if the time comes where, I don't know, maybe we can't find ourselves a Dragonite, maybe we're ability locked for that turn because our opponent is trying to play around our strategy, a Dragonite might go down. So we can retain an energy here, so then when we use our next Bust In, we need less combo pieces to get our attack going the following turn. So EXP Share does sometimes get decent value in here, but like I say, it's the whole idea of the deck is to tank, so you don't need more than this card, but it's really high value throughout most games, so I really like having 1. So next up, we are maxing out Fighting Fury Belt. It's the way we tank, basically, giving us that extra plus 40, and it increases 10 damage. Like I was saying, it helps the numbers out for Dragonite a whole lot more, so really fantastic. You'll pretty much only ever put this on Dragonite, so you basically want to continue to have them, especially because, well, we can recycle with Super Scoop Up, but we also play AZ in here, and AZ discards these bad boys, so you want to keep a high count so that you continually have high HP Dragonites, basically. So, on to supporters. We are playing one Cassius. I just said we play AZ. We play 2 of those as well, so there's 3 cards, supporter-wise, that can pick up Dragonites for reuse. Why do we play the split? Well, like I was saying, AZ is the most powerful because it puts it into the hand, but we also lose Fury Belts, which is an issue. So we have Cassius to retain Fury Belt a bit better, and also it's going to put it back into the deck. So there's arguments on both sides. I like AZ slightly more because it's more immediate with Dragonite. We guarantee to get it for a new reuse of Burst in, whereas Cassius is more sort of methodical and slow. And AZ has the added value of getting up Shaymins for more cards. So AZ is why I'm playing 2, but I like having a total of 3 cards that can be supporter-based Super Scoop Ups, basically. So yeah, that's how we're going to try and help tank with Dragonite. We're also playing 2 Lysandre. I keep mentioning that Shaymin is the thing that we want to target. 2 Lysandre helps us get there a lot easier. When you hit flips on Super Scoop Up, you don't need to be using these supporters, so you have access to these, which is really fantastic for you. This deck can trade against EXs, fairly okay, but it's just so much easier in terms of we start losing our resources a lot more if we're not Lysandering Shaymin. Once these Super Scoop Ups get burnt out, we're really reliant on these. So instead, we're going to try and finish the game quicker with Lysandre. So finally, just for Juniper, or Sycamore, sorry, this is standard, of course. Sorry about the glare. But yeah, it's just the consistency booster of the deck, basically. It's our best supporter for that. And there's only a couple of things that you want to hold on to. A lot of these cards are insta-plays. You want to be careful with your Super Scoop-Ups. You want to be careful physically with your Dragonites. But really everything else can be insta-played from the deck. So there's very few times when Sycamores are very painful for you. It's going to be stuff like excess supporters that get discarded. Every now and then you can sacrifice a Dragonite depending on how many you've got through. And then from there you're just getting rid of excess energy that you've happened to draw into and not attach. So yeah, Sycamore's rarely ever very painful for you because we have so many insta-play cards. So really, really good draw in this deck. So that's the Pokemon and trainers and all that. So just energy to go. 4 lightning. Dragonite's cost is 1 lightning, 2 grass. So we need to have the split of both. Obviously, because it's only 1 lightning, and remember, of course, we have that EXP share, we're rarely ever going to miss keeping lightning around, especially because we're bursting in between them. So I like having 4, and then we just have 9 grass energy. So plenty of these as well. A total of 13 energy is huge. Check out the Charizard Lounge's spreadsheet on Max Elixir and its statistics, because with 13 we often have huge amounts of outs with Elixir from the start of the game to the finish, and most of the time you get the value early with Max Elixir. We try and explode on the first turn, get through a lot of the deck, and use as many Max Elixirs as possible, because that's when they're still in the deck, because we've not used stuff like Sycamore just yet. So we've not physically drawn into many of these energy at the time, so it's way better to use Max Elixir early than it is to use it later on. So you want to see as many Max Elixirs turn 1 so that you can get multiple energy on board, and obviously it's going to help you speed up. You can attack turn 1 if you get 2 Max Elixir heads, so that's pretty cool. And you need to find a new Dragonite, of course, but not Max Elixir heads. I just mean, you hit an energy off of them. So yeah, it's pretty decent. You can be attacking as early as turn 1 for 2-shotting on EX decks, and you have decent tank ability with 220. We've seen stuff like Mega Sceptile with 220 do good tanking. We've seen Mega Mewtwo even do good tanking, just with 210, but it has the damage change. Here we're manipulating it with the Fury Belt so that Dragonite has good tank potential, and he can dish out decent numbers to the point where you can be 2-shotting pretty much everything, and there's going to be times where we basically wipe that damage completely off of our board, but we keep all the energy. So that's the whole point of the deck. It's a pretty fun one, very ability focused, so there are weaknesses around. However, it still can be pretty decent just because of the tanking potential. The prize denial approach is one in the game that has really served a purpose throughout time, basically. So this is one that could be worth picking up and trying out. So hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Dragonite's a lot of fun to play. I'm not sure if this list is 100%. You might want to test it out a bit yourself. But that's pretty much the basis. That's as far as I've gotten with Dragonite so far. So I hope you all enjoyed, and see you guys in another video. It's been Joe from OmniPoke. See you guys next time.